An anti-grandma ring helped to catch his wife cheating. This is a story about betrayal and willpower. You are on the Alain Delon Story channel, and we are studying.
My name is Richard Thompson. I am a businessman, a son, a grandson, and once I was a husband. For 6 years, I shared my life with a woman I loved more than anything. I thought we had something real, something unbreakable. But love, as I learned, can be deceiving. I grew up in a privileged family in a small town in America. My grandfather was a master craftsman, a jeweler, and a watchmaker. He built a business from the ground up, crafting intricate mechanical parts for luxury timepieces. That business became our family legacy, passed down from my grandfather to my father, and eventually to me. But the most valuable thing my grandfather ever made wasn't for sale. It was a pair of wedding rings designed with a secret mechanism. The rings had an inner band that moved almost imperceptibly when warmed by the skin. If removed, the lack of body heat would trigger a slow rotation, causing the engraved rose on the outer band to wither, its petals falling away. It was a symbol of eternal love, a promise that as long as the ring was worn, love would remain alive. Before my wedding, my grandmother entrusted these rings to me. She had worn hers faithfully until the day my grandfather passed. She warned me, however, that she did not trust my fiancé. She made me promise not to tell my soon-to-be wife about the ring's secret. Instead, I told my fiancé only that it was a family heirloom, one that should never be removed. For 6 years, my wife, Emily, never took off her ring. The roses remained full, their petals never falling. I was relieved, convinced my grandmother had been wrong. Emily loved me, or so I thought. She was beautiful, charming, and full of life, but she had expensive tastes and spent money without much concern. I ignored it because I loved her and I wanted to make her happy. And then one day, she told me she was pregnant. I was overjoyed. I had always wanted to be a father, but at the same time, my business was struggling. Profits were declining, and I was barely managing to keep things afloat. We argued about money. She wanted the best for our baby, the finest crib, the most extravagant nursery, a complete remodel of the house. I told her we had to be careful. She was furious. She stormed out of the house that evening, and she didn't return until the next morning. She said she had stayed with a friend. I believed her. But when I took her hands in mine, apologizing for our fight, I noticed something. The roses on her ring had wilted. The petals had fallen. She had taken it off. I asked her about it. She laughed. "Of course not," she said, looking at me like I was crazy. I would never take it off. But I knew the truth. That night, lying in bed beside her, I stared at the ceiling, my heart heavy. Over the next few months, I watched. Every time she went out, whether for a long drive, a workout session, or to meet her friends, the petals would fall again. I said nothing. I just watched, and I knew. Finally, I hired a private investigator. I needed proof, and proof was exactly what I got. Emily had a lover, even while pregnant. She would tell me she was going to prenatal classes, but instead, she was with him. One photo in particular broke me. Her lover placing his hands on her swollen belly, smiling. That was the moment I knew. The child she carried wasn't mine. I couldn't confront her yet. I didn't want to stress her while she was pregnant. So I waited. I played the role of the loving husband until she gave birth. A baby girl. I was there in the hospital, watching as she held her daughter in her arms. I told myself I would wait until she recovered. Then I would expose her and leave. But she beat me to it. One evening, As I sat beside her in the hospital room, she looked at me with cold eyes and said, "I'm filing for divorce." I was stunned. "Why?" I asked, though deep down, I already knew. "You lied to me," she spat. "You told me you would always provide for me, for our child. But now, your business is failing. You're broke. You tricked me into this life." I laughed. I couldn't help it. "Our child?" I asked, staring at her. "You mean my child?" Her face turned pale. "Of course she's yours, and you will pay child support." I had waited long enough. I filed for a paternity test and presented the court with my evidence. The photographs, the investigators' reports, the ring. My ring that had never once failed me. When the test results came back, the truth was undeniable. The baby wasn't mine. And even more shocking, it wasn't her lover's either. Emily refused to explain. She refused to admit how many men there had been. She demanded the house in the divorce, and I let her have it, for the sake of the child, even if she wasn't mine. But I refused to pay a cent in child support. The court agreed. She walked away with the house, but I kept the business. For a while, things seemed bleak. My company was dying. I moved in with my brother. Of course, he had his own family, and I didn't want to bother him. But he himself suggested it to me, seeing how crushed I was by all this. I agreed. I needed support. My life was falling apart. I was left homeless, without a wife, my business was falling apart, and the child I wanted and waited for so much was not mine. This whole situation was destroying me from the inside, but I realized that I needed to act. Together with my brother, we began to look for new clients for our business, but we were not succeeding. Everyone either ordered in bulk and where it was cheaper, or worked only with famous brands. Our small company was of no interest to anyone, and our quality seemed to be unimportant to anyone in the new world, where things become obsolete the minute they are released for sale. We got into debt, and there was less and less time left. A couple more months, and we would have had to file for bankruptcy. It seemed like the end. But then, fate turned in my favor. A new startup took an interest in our precision parts. They placed large orders, and just like that, my business was thriving again. I handed control over to my brother and stepped away. Years passed. I found love again. A woman who didn't care about money, a woman who stood by me in good times and bad. We married, and she wears my grandmother's ring. We have 2 wonderful children, a boy, Tom, and a girl, Rosie. I love them more than life itself, and now I think I can say that I am finally happy. This story with my ex-wife taught me a lot. I could have become embittered and stopped believing in love, in people. Perhaps everything would have been easier if I had listened to my grandmother who warned me. But I had to learn this life lesson myself. Granny, if you are watching me, know that I love you very much. I miss you. But I know that your ring will always be with me. The roses on her band have never withered. And I know now, love should never be measured in words or promises. Love is measured in actions, and the ring never lies.
I hope you like the story. Please subscribe to the channel, share the comments, and remember, the people is stronger than the circumstances.